Okay, I did not expect to make this video this morning, but when I woke up to some fucking bullshit this morning, I had to do it. But here's the thing, alright? A lot of you may have come across videos that look like this, where it's, here's what a $100 keyboard sounds like. Here's what a $5 keyboard sounds like. Here's what a $750 keyboard sounds like. Here's what a $2,000 keyboard sounds like. Here's what a $10,000 grand billion dollar keyboard sounds like. And that shit pisses me off to no extent because that is making everyone that's new to the hobby believe that they need to spend a ridiculous fucking amount of money to achieve that beautiful sound that they heard on YouTube. And this is exactly just like 2017, 2018, people trying to replicate Teha Type's fucking typing tests where they're like, oh my god, the gel with the fucking holy pandas. I'm gonna choose, and I'm gonna make them use the keycaps. Because the problem is that sound is only brought out by how well you build the keyboard and what you record it with. There was a video that I did a little while ago where I compared just how different even two phone microphones could be different. Where I took an iPhone 6s and my iPhone SE 2020, which is this camera right here, and just showed how different they could make the sound of a keyboard. It depends on the recording equipment. It depends on how well you build it. And it also depends on, well, what you put on the keyboard. Because everything can affect the sound of a keyboard. Desk mats could affect the sound of the keyboard. The room in which you record the sound test in can affect the sound of the keyboard. The keyboard itself can affect the keyboard. And keycaps, key switches, putting foam inside, not putting foam inside. There's so many variables to this shit. And I hate how people just go, this is what a $700 keyboard sounds like. And they put this amazing sound test. And it just makes everyone believe that in order to achieve good sound, you need to achieve massive amounts of money. And that's the most retard thing I've ever seen in my life, because that's all I see in the fucking comments. People being misled by the fucking false thought that you need to spend money in order to make yourself feel happy with your purchase. Let me tell you something. This keyboard right here, I wasn't going to make a video on it, and I'm still not going to make a video on it, but let me tell you something. The base board cost me $370. And the only reason why I bought it was because I wanted to make a themed keyboard. If I had the choice, I would have bought something else and just had some other e-white finish on it and put the keycaps on it and be done with it. Boom. But I wanted to build something special because this thing actually has a little glowing little name tag here that you can customize. I actually put my little name on it. It says Tofu Soup in there. But every other one of my keyboards barely cost more than $300, if not $200. Let's do some examples. This keyboard right here is the XD84. The base frame, case rather, and the underglow and the plate came for $79. And the PCB was around $35, and the keycaps I bought it aftermarket for around, say, $70, $80, and then I put T1s in it and I looped and filmed them. The amount, if I were to not include the keycaps actually, because the keycaps I actually didn't buy for this specific build. So let's say that I wanted to have some standard ABS keycaps and have the T1s in there. The total cost would have been just around $230, right? And to this day, I believe that is probably one of the best sounding keyboards on my channel. I'll actually play a little snippet of it right now. And you know what? This thing looks really good. On the contrary, here's something that I actually hate. This fucking keyboard right here, with the PCB, the case, and the plate, cost me, with shipping, $240. The switches inside used to be Hollyout switches, which were Alias 60-gram spring and housings with halo stems in them. And it sounded horrible. It sounded like a hollow sack of shit compared to a KBD75 that I actually sold off to build this thing. Here's a snippet of that video. Here is my Vermillion Pro. I bought this thing for $109, free shipping. No tax, because mechanicalkeyboards.com is pretty poggers when it comes to keyboard orders over $100. And if it wasn't for the fact I wanted the rock sound tactiles in it, here's what the stock sound test sounds like. I think I'm getting my point across already. Sound does not always equate to money. Okay, I've heard people spend like a good chunk of money. Say like they buy a Rama board and they buy all the good stabilizers and they buy like decent switches for it, and then they don't do the proper modifications and they don't use proper recording equipment and it sounds like genuine garbage. Genuine garbage. And just to prove my point, okay, so I have a tester we want to take right now. Let's have a little fun. I'm going to place a bunch of keyboard sound tests next to each other, and I'm going to label them keyboard A, B, C, and D. And you tell me which one sounds better, or rather, just keep the opinion to yourself and think to yourself, I wonder which one sounds more expensive. Ready? Here we go. And here are the results of that sound test, I suppose. Pay attention. Text will flow on the screen now, and I hope that your results are correct. This keyboard was recorded with 4 different devices. It was recorded with condenser mic, it was recorded with this iPhone SE 2020, it was recorded with a webcam camera, and then it was recorded with my old iPhone SE, my old iPhone 6S. If you got baited, then I'm glad that I perhaps gave you a little bit of insight as to why you don't need to spend $300,000 on a keyboard. And weight also does not indicate quality when it comes to a keyboard. Let me just tell you that thing. Some of the best keyboards that I've heard were like 2 ounces. I'm exaggerating a little, but KBD 67 lights, I've heard those in real life. Those fuckers sound amazing, and they're only $109 or $129 rather if you were to buy them in the US from mechanicalkeyboards.com when they were still in stock. A lot of people think that like the heavier a keyboard is, the more it is premium because of the fact that, oh my god, it's a metal rectangle, it's really heavy, so therefore weight equals premiumness. Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way at all. Some metal chassis sound like genuine dog crap. How I would know? This thing, this thing weighs like a good 3 pounds. It's made of complete metal, and it sounds like genuine dog shit. So, the takeaway from this video is that if you see a keyboard video that says, here's what a $150,000 keyboard sounds like, yeah, don't try to replicate it unless if you want to lose money, okay? You are in charge of your own preferences in this subjective hobby. One of the most subjective hobbies there is, in my opinion, because there's so many options out there that you can do to modify your keyboard or not even modify your keyboard. Some people like the stock sound of a lot of keyboards. They're like, oh, I don't need to mod this thing. I like the spring ping, or I like a little bit of scratchiness, or I do think this is what suits my needs, and I don't feel the need to modify my keyboard any further. And that is perfectly fine. The one thing that is not okay is to perpetuate a message to newcomers and or even veterans, quote unquote veterans, that can still be tricked into thinking that you need to spend a shit ton of money to make a keyboard sound good. For example, there's one particular YouTuber that is farming the fuck out of this keyboard hype train with here's between a $7 keyboard and a $1,000 keyboard. Here's the difference. I hate the message they're sending. They are literally sending forth the message of here's how much money that was tied to my keyboard. They may or may not be consciously or unconsciously spreading the message of money equates to quality, but if they are, shame on them. And if they aren't, well, be careful next time. I've already had a lot of friends come up to me and say to me, yo, so I kind of want a custom keyboard, but I kind of only have $150. Do you mind if, like, you can find me something on the cheap or something, like maybe like a 60%. I don't usually use 60%, but you know, custom is custom, and I gotta no, no, that's not. You don't need to worry about that, friend. Here, let me get you a pre-built that has a pretty good mounting system, and I'm going to modify the fuck out of it with some cheap mods and just a standard lube and film job for the switches. And they're like, dude, feels like a dream, types like a dream. I can't believe that I almost spent $300 on this thing. Thank you for saving me $70 so I can like eat lunch for like the next 2 months. And I'm like, yeah, dude, because like I said, sound and value and how much you like a keyboard is not always tied to how much you spend on it. I've spent a good amount of money on a keyboard, two keyboards, that I ended up not even using because of how much I hated them. There is a keyboard that used to be on my channel, the Red Scarf 3, Red Scarf 84, RS84. That thing started off great, and then it started having a lot of problems with the hole tights. Like it was chattering, it was having troubles with connecting to my PC, then it was having troubles with flashing, then it was having troubles with even sitting properly in its case. And right now, it's a $230 investment just sitting in my shelf because of how much it broke and how much I hated the sound. So, all things considered, it was a pretty expensive lesson, but this just further proves, or not proves, but supplants the belief, at least in me, that value does not need to tie itself into how well a keyboard is, whether in sound or whether in looks. It's a subjective hobby, everyone. Spend however much you want on this hobby, and you'll probably find something that will be great within your budget. I don't care whether if you have $100,000 to spare or if you have $100 to spare. There's always something for everyone in this hobby, and no one should feel ashamed whether or not they could spend as much as the other person did. It's stupid. It's a really dumb mentality, and if anything, it's unconscious gatekeeping because people think that they need to spend a ludicrous amount of money to achieve a sound that they heard in the video somewhere. When again, there's so many variables that can go into a sound test. I'm not even fucking kidding anymore. Like it's not even funny. So, rant over. Thank you for listening. I'm going to go shit myself because of the fact that I'm this angry about it. And I hope everyone has a nice weekend because I sure as hell am not. Have a good one.